Welcome to Ref Sports. The second day of the test match between India and South Africa is done and dusted. After KL Rahul's heroics and his stunning century, India posted 245 runs on the scoreboard. But at the end of the day, South Africa now lead with a stunning, not stunning, but they lead with, how much do they lead with, Shubhan?
Not much, not much. We are still
Not
in the
much,
game,
just a
but
few runs. But then, of course, they have the lead. Of course, that's thanks to Dean Elgar, who's closing in on 150 runs. But before we discuss all of that, let me introduce my guests. Right now, I have Shubhayan Chakraborty joining from South Africa. And Shubhayan, talk about today's game and starting with, of course, KL Rahul's century.
I mean, 250 runs, whatever we got on the board, 245 odd, I think it all goes on to how KL Rahul played. A brilliant century. It's not easy to score centuries here, and the way KL Rahul batted, along with the tail in today's game, in today at least, he just took away the South African bowlers, farmed the strike, scored those important boundaries, and got his century, and became the first visiting batsman to score multiple centuries in Centurion, which itself is a feat and an achievement. But we have to talk about Dean Elgar as well. The way he batted, it was just simply excellent. The way he batted and batted on an aggressive note, not like he was. It was not a typical Dean Elgar knock, but a knock which where he put the bad deliveries away. The Indian bowlers were very wayward. They were absolutely poor, if I have to put it that way. And credit to Dean Elgar how he batted. So it's a match which any either of the team can win right now.
Absolutely. And before we, get to the other guests, we have something very special prepared for KL Rahul. So here it is. Take a watch.
Clearly, it will be one of the best hundreds that you have seen in recent times. Cloudy, wet, chilly Centurion against a South African attack that had the likes of Kagiso Rabada steaming in, Marco Jansen, Gerald Kudzia, and Nandre Berger. This was an incredibly good innings. India down at 93 for 4, and thereafter soon when Rabada picked up Virat Kohli, there was the threat of getting bowled out for about 150. That's when KL Rahul took control. Very VVS Lakshman-like, one remembered Durban in 2011. The innings of 96 from VVS Lakshman that had won India the match. Has KL Rahul done enough to do so at Centurion? Back-to-back hundreds at Supersport Park, he got 100 in 2021. This was an absolute masterclass. No one had ever doubted the quality of KL Rahul. He had talent in abundance. Maybe he had to battle his own demons. Did not really know how good he was. But at Supersport Park, he proved to the world that as wicketkeeper batter, this has been an ace move on the part of the Indian management. 100 that has set the match up. 100 that has given the bowlers a lot to bowl at. 100 that means that India are well and truly on course for the final frontier. 100 that will perhaps be one of the best that KL Rahul has ever scored.
Joydeep and Ishan, who are just joining us, we were talking about, KL Rahul and his heroics today. Ishan, why don't you go ahead, talk about KL Rahul? He's really been that savior for India.
Oh yes, just absolutely, Dagi. I mean, fantastic knock, and we've spoken so highly of him, and I think he's just delivered to his absolute best. So it's not easy to get those runs in those conditions. The ball was moving, the ball was bouncing, just basically doing everything. So KL Rahul was that person who helped in solidifying the innings, gave that support to the Indian batsmen when they needed it. And overall, I think if it wasn't for Rahul, I think the Indians would have really, really struggled. So hats off to him. And again, he just showed immense time while playing his shots, which is most important. On a fast, bouncy track, you want to show that you have enough time to play a shot. So KL Rahul seemed at absolute ease. So overall, it was just so good to see him as a viewer as well.
Devashish, you were one of the biggest supporters of KL Rahul before, we've had many chats before on the Boxing Day test, and you were really behind him, you were really supporting KL Rahul's inclusion in the team. Talk about his century.
Yeah, obviously it has to be one of the best hundreds that he has scored out of his 800s. And given the conditions, means it was totally in favor of the bowlers, means, and overcast, the ball was swimming and swinging, with the bounce and carry, and especially so the Super Sport Park wicket, means, and to be able to dig deep and to score that 100. And especially when you consider that India were 38 odd for 3 wickets down, and then from there on to score 100, it has been a fabulous knock. And especially batting with the lower order, I would like to mention here that that 24 runs scored by Shardul Thakur, it was, and that to Siraj also digging in and giving him company. And it has been a great knock, perhaps one of the best overseas 100 by an Indian batter in South Africa.
Joydeep
Yep.
on KL Rahul.
Yeah, I think enough has been said. They've covered all the points. It is the best 100 that I've seen, not just in South Africa, top three by any Indian batsman that I've seen. And I'm seeing Indian cricket since 1985.
Oh yeah, Shubha, and you were on that ground. You saw Dean Elgar
Yes.
in his farewell match scoring that century. Talk about that.
And right now in front of me, Hashim Amla has been surrounded by fans for autographs and photos. So here he goes. But yes, what a player he was. And Dean Elgar, coming to Dean Elgar, I mean, it was not a classic Dean Elgar knock, if I have to put it that way. We associate a lot of, grittiness, lot of solidity in Dean Elgar's batting. But today it was a flawless knock, a smooth knock, which where he put all the bad deliveries away. Indian bowling at the best was ordinary. Not that they were really great. Apart from Jasprit Bumrah, I think other bowlers, especially Prasidh Krishna on his debut, was a little bit rusty, I would say. But hats off to Dean Elgar. I mean, he was the first batter to carry his bat twice in a year. I guess it was in year 2019. He has been South Africa's crisis man. Whenever they are in danger, Dean Elgar has played some of the most solid knocks, some of the most grittiest knocks, and today he just took his chance. He was playing fearless brand of cricket. It felt like he has nothing to lose today. And the way he celebrated his century, that, by the way, it's his home ground, and it was his first Test century in Centurion. So what a fitting sending off, I would say, for Dean Elgar. Now, after Dean Elgar's century, they have taken the lead. They would like to extend it as far as possible tomorrow, and maybe the South African players will think that we want to. Temba Bavuma in the pre-match press conference has already said that we want to give a fitting farewell to Dean Elgar, and that's what they would be aiming for. But lots of cricket still to play. Hats off to Dean Elgar, the way he batted, but lots of cricket still to play. The match is still on.
Absolutely. And Joydeep, I'd like to go to you on this first. Just a while back, Shubhayan said that the Indian bowlers were poor. Did they disappoint you as well today?
Big time, big time. See, that's the problem. That's that's the problem of not having a Shami, because at the end of the day, the only finished product we had on the park was Jasprit Bumrah. Siraj is also sort of learning the trade. I think he got carried away with the pace and the bounce on this pitch. We were way too short, and we didn't ask enough right questions. This is the sort of pitch where you have to bowl 90% of your balls in one place, and you'll get 5 wickets. We bowled about, I think the other bowlers, barring Bumrah, bowled about 30% in the right places. So that is all. That is a reason why there is always a release ball coming. There is always a run scoring ball coming, and the way Bedingham played, not only that, not only Elgar was superb, but even the way the debutant played. Now he's got 6,000 runs, 85 first class games behind him because he plays for Durham. So obviously, very, very disappointed with Siraj, and Prasid also disappointing. Shardul disappointing. We needed somebody who can just bowl areas on this pitch. I was thinking that if Mukesh played on this pitch, and I speak for him because I've seen him all my life, this is a pitch that was made for Mukesh, because all he does is bowl on a small hanky all day. And that's the sort of wicket. We were way too short and way too wide. And when we went to bowl a little bit fuller, when the captain and the coach said, get a bit fuller, we missed that good length and we went half volleyish. So there are a lot of drives through the covers, a lot of flick to mid wicket, a lot of straight drives. So I think we were really below par with the ball today.
Devashish, your thoughts? In conditions like these, as Joydeep said, it's all about going back to the basics.
No, no, it was baffling to see after lunch. Rohit Sharma did not use his two best bowlers. I mean, he straight away went in with Shardul Thakur and Prasid Krishna, and someone Prasid, for instance, is making his debut, and then I mean, because had we got that one more wicket, things would have been different. Means we let it go. Means there were easy boundary balls given to both Dean Elgar and Dean Elgar, and actually at one point of time, and South Africa was scoring around 4 and 4.5 runs per over. Means that is way too way no, no, way
Way too much.
you cannot way too much. Means you cannot let them run away with those kind of. It was something that England has done recently. It's, with the baseball. So it's 4.5 4 runs per over. It's way too much. And but then he should have straight away gone in with either Siraj or Bumrah just after the lunch. But it was not the case.
Ishan,
Devashi makes a great point because he's
Yeah.
starting with two bowlers who are leaking runs from both sides. You can have one person, you can go to a Bumrah stroke Siraj, and you can go from the other. And we were so poor that Ashwin actually come and had to come and do the holding job. He had no business to bowl on this pitch, but he was bowling at 2 runs and over. So he was doing the job what the fast bowlers were supposed to do, what Shardul was supposed to do, but he didn't have the same potency because there's nothing in it. Although he spun a few, went past one drop short of the slips, he was brought in just to check the flow of runs, which means the fast bowlers are not doing the job for you on this pitch.
Ishan, go ahead.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So valid points made. So right, because after lunch you want to be attacking first up, and if you don't do that, and if you let the game slip away, then after a point of time, suddenly you realize, both the batsmen are set, and the game's really slipped away. So I think Rohit Sharma missed a trick there. He should have gotten his lead spirit bowler, who is Bumrah, to come in, get those breakthroughs. Because the minute he was brought into the attack, he was bowling really well, and he got that wicket as well. So obviously, if he did that earlier on in the game, the impact would have been created much earlier. So I think the trick was missed over there. And I think they let the game slip away, Gagi. So I think Joydeep Da and Devashit have made absolutely right points here.
Yeah, but just on that, I mean, if we are discussing this should be done, I think people of Rahul Dravid's caliber and expertise and Rohit will also know that. So sometimes I've been in part of situations. Sometimes I've been part of teams where
Hmm.
Bumrah is not feeling up to it. He's feeling a bit of a tightness, a
Yeah.
niggle, or something. So he might just want a little bit of off time. That can also sometimes happen. You have to give the benefit of the doubt because the whole world knows Bumrah and Shiraj should have bowled. If they haven't bowled, so it'll be interesting to find out if somebody can ask whoever comes to the post-match press conference that why didn't they bowl? That'd be a really
And
good question to ask.
yes, and I think on top of that, I think Shardul Thakur did not deliver to his absolute best. I think a lot more was expected out of him. There were some no balls as well in that innings. So obviously, you don't want to be doing that at the highest level. The bowling wasn't very consistent, and if you see the South African bowlers, most of them were hitting the stumps on a regular basis. So Shardul Thakur was not as consistent, and even if one bowler probably backs off or isn't at his best on that given day, then the whole team performance basically falls down. So I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Shubhayan, were you missing a certain Mohammad Siraj today? Shami, sorry.
I guess yes. This is still a very good bowling attack, but they did not bowl to the best of their abilities. As Joydeep Debashish mentioned, that they were spraying around a lot. Either they were too short or they were too full. They gave too many scoring shots to Dean Elgar, which to his credit he put it away. And at this level, where these England, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, why are they such a tough nation to win a test series? Because they know how to put these bad deliveries or bad patches of spells away. And Dean Elgar, to his credit, he did exactly the same. I agree with Joydeep that this pitch was tailor made for Mukesh Kumar. We have seen him bowl at a consistent line and length. I said the same thing in our pre-match show that control is going to be the key, which was missing from India's bowling attack today. Either they were too full, too short. Prasid, I can understand he's still making his test debut. But the team management, even the bowling coach, the senior bowlers around, the captains around, they should have gone to him and said, you are bowling too short. This is not the line to bowl. This is not the length to bowl at these batters. Dean Elgar, or even if you see how David Beddingham batted. They were just ducking to all the shorter deliveries, and you can see the South African fans are ecstatic about how the day's play went in their favor. Uh, they have taken a lead now, and an excellent debut for David Beddingham as well. I can still understand that Indian bowlers were very, very poor today. Shardul Thakur was playing around. Uh, Prasidh Krishna was poor on this day, although he was a tad unlucky wherever he was bowling that good deliveries. The players were missing those edges. Apart from Bumrah, and even for Bumrah, to his caliber, for his class and caliber, which we talk about, Bumrah was also a bit ordinary today. The expectations are too high with this Indian pace attack, and you can't just be that poor out on the field when you are trying to win your first ever Test series on South African soil.
Absolutely. And Debashish, how much role do you think conditions had to play in India's performance today and the toss as well? Because it was a good toss to win for South Africa.
Yeah, at the hindsight, you might say yes, because see, South Africa are 11 runs ahead with five more wickets still in hand, and but then still a lot to play for in this Test match, and key for India will be to pick get don't give South Africa much of a lead. Means if they can get a lead of around 100 on this wicket, because we have seen a certain deliveries keeping very low. Means we have seen Dean Elgar, means he was just bending his back, trying to one ball from Prasidh Krishna kept very really low, and remember, uh, India has to bat second, means in the fourth innings, so that will be very key, because the balls are keeping low. So you cannot let South Africa take a substantial lead. Means the key for India will be to utilize the conditions and make early inroads, not to give them much of a lead. Means that will be very crucial.
But you
Ishant,
you you mentioned Joydipta, sorry, Gargi, you mentioned about the conditions. South African bowlers bowled yesterday, and they were precise with their lengths, and there was sun. There was sun out for a considerable amount of time during the second session. Today it was overcast the entire day. It was chilly, it was windy, the air had moisture, and we can talk about the conditions to bowl today were far better than what it was yesterday. So I think Indian bowlers just missed the trick and did not utilize the conditions to their best of their ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah,
And yes,
Joydeep, why don't you?
noting, yeah.
Uh, I was about to ask you the same questions. How much are the conditions to blame, or is it the bowlers who are completely at fault today?
No,
No, I
I
think,
think I
okay.
think was this for me or for Ishan?
Joydeep, please go.
Okay, so I think what Shubhayan says, today was a better day for the bowlers than it was yesterday, which is why it's disappointing more so. See, what happens with the cloud cover also is that whatever moisture is on the pitch, that does not dry up. So that stays on the pitch for a much longer period of time. And every time Bumrah bowled the right length, we saw what it did. But Bumrah is giving 1 run, the other guy is giving 5. Bumrah is giving 2 runs, the other guy is giving 6. So, like you bat in partners, you bowl in partners also. And there was no pressure being built. So he had to go and get Ashwin to bowl 2 runs and over, because Shardul, his tappa is not the best, we know it, but he's playing because he's the third seamer. He's the fourth seamer. He's playing because he can bat. Today, Prasidh Krishna is known for pace and bounce, but these guys can play pace and bounce. What they can't play is the right questions being asked in the right area. And Prasidh is not that accurate a bowler as much as Mukesh is. Everybody has their strengths. Prasidh probably is quicker. Prasidh has more bounce. That is positives. Mukesh, not as quick, doesn't have bounce, but is more accurate. On this pitch, we needed a bowler who's accurate. Pace was, even today, Prasidh was bowling 134, which is a Mukesh bowls. Generally bowls 140. So you could make out that because his ball is not falling in the right place, he is not at rhythm. So he's brought his pace down by 6-7 kilometers per hour to hit the right place, but he's still not been able to. And the wickets that we got, the Beddingham wicket was a half volley which he missed. The last wicket which slashed and caught behind, Those weren't good balls. But look at our wickets. Look at how many Boldens and caught in the slips we had. Very few. So we bowled really poorly. And I'm with Shubhan on this. Today was a perfect day. We could have bowled them out for 150.
Ishan, go ahead.
Yes, Gagi. So I don't think the conditions can be blamed at all because the bowling was just not up to its best. Besides Bumrah, I think nobody else really stood up to the cause. And when we go out to bowl tomorrow, I think it's of key importance to get as many wickets as possible in the first session itself. Because if you give them a lead which is above 100, it's going to make life extremely difficult for the Indians when they come out to bat again. So getting early wickets is very important. And I think line and length, again, like how Jagdeep Dah mentioned, is very important. So I think tomorrow morning, hit the right spots. Don't look to do something extra. You don't have to do too much on this wicket. There are a lot of wickets where you probably have to bend your back, do that little bit extra. But on this wicket, you don't have to do much. Just hit the right spots and you get your wickets. Unfortunately, the team hasn't done that. The bowlers haven't done that. So I think tomorrow morning, they'll have to reassess and come back with a better game plan.
Let me also just try and explain what happens. These
Of
Shardul,
course.
Prasid, they're all, hit the deck bowlers. They bowl
Yeah.
back of a leg. Now, suddenly, if you tell them, please bowl up, then the half volley comes. So there is only this much space between a half volley and a good length. So suddenly, if you ask a guy whose basic length is back of a length to go this far up, he might go this far up, which is 4. That is why they're better off bowling that way. That way, less runs are given, but you're not doing the job for the team. You're not being lethal anymore. That's why you needed a bowler. So Shami is that bowler, like I was
Yeah.
explaining yesterday in the post show. He is the bowler who is a floater. He bowls up. So there is this release, Prasid, Shardul, and there's this release, which is on top, through. So Shami and Mukesh are release bowlers. And release bowlers tend to be fuller. So you needed one release bowler. Here, except Bumrah, the other 3 are cut from the same cloth.
Shubha, and is there any news on Temba Bavuma? Will he step out tomorrow if the South African team needs him?
I think if they get to a 100-run lead, then Temba Bavuma may just say that okay, we have got enough on the board. But if they are in a situation where they have a lead of around 40, 50, then Temba might come and try to back a few deliveries for 4 and 6 if he can do that. It's not a hamstring tear as far as I know. But if it's just a sprain, then I think he can come out and bat. They are analyzing, evaluating it on a day by day basis, and I think he will come out to bat after the likes of Gerald Poets and Nandre Berger at around 10, 11 ish if he wants to come out and bat.
Absolutely. And if, before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you all, what strategy do you think India can go in with tomorrow? Ishan, Shubha, and why don't you start?
Bowl consistently. I think that's what they need to. I think the bowling coach. We can't blame the bowling coach or the team management very much here. It's all about executing your strategies, your plans on the field, out on the field. Yesterday, if we see the likes of Rabada or Gerard Coetzee, Andre Berger, Marco Janssen, they had a plan. They had a clear plan, and they tried to execute it. Initially, they were bowling to Rohit and Yashasvi and Gill on their bodies with a short leg, short forward leg, and a short leg at place, and a deep fine leg at place. So they had a clear strategy, and as soon as they packed the slip cord, and they had a strategy to bowl at a good length and outside the off stump, so that to get a nick or a edge. But Indian team, even they had a field set, they had a packed slip cord, and they were bowling at the leg side. They were either bowling too short or too full. I think the deliveries outside the leg stump, they were bowling too much onto the pads with a packed offside field. So they can't be spraying around tomorrow. If they do, then I think Dean Elgar, the way he's set right now, he will just take the game away from India.
Devashish.
Yeah, the key for India will be to go on attack straight away. Means Bumrah and Siraj. Means obviously at one point of time Siraj was bowling some 133. His pace came down considerably. So when the key for India will be to use the resources properly. Means you have to attack from one end. Means throughout. Means obviously, and that and Prasad Krishna and Sardul Thakur has been both a huge letdown. Means had there been a Shami or a Mukesh Kumar, then you could you then it did, the attack would have been relentless. Means you could have easily attacked from both ends, but that was not the case because Prasidh Krishna was it was too much of a asking because remember it is his first test match, so you have to give the benefit of doubt to Prasidh Krishna because this is his first test match, so he will get to learn more the more he plays. But talking about Siraj, at one point of time his pace was considerably down to 130, 133. So you need to have um, consistent pace, and that was something that was missing today. But talking about the strategy tomorrow, as I said earlier, means you need to make early inroads. Means if you can get South Africa, say to take bundle out South Africa, say a lead of 75, 80, then means India does have a very good chance because South Africa will bat last, and the ball is keeping low. Few balls are keeping low, and then Ashwin might come in, might be very handy.
Gargi, you are on mute.
My bad. Joydeep, your thoughts on what India should do going in tomorrow?
Yeah, Dean Elgar is batting 140, but when he comes out tomorrow, he'll feel like he's zero batting. He has to get set again. So start asking the right questions. I'm sure Paraswamy will sit with the bowlers. See, Shubhan made a great point. It's not that they don't know. They know, but it's not easy to do that skill set in front of such good batters. It's not that what we are discussing, all this they know. But just being able to do that under the gun is where the trick is. So I think if they can do that, I would want to start with Bumrah and maybe a Prasid. And then when Bumrah goes, Siraj and then a Shardul. Instead of two
Ah.
main bowlers bowling and then suddenly release gone and then two new boys coming. So one main bowler and one newcomer always there. Some pressure will be built. Again, get them all out as quickly as you can. Bowl fuller if you can without leaking runs. See, the problem is you also need your two slips a gully because those are your catching position. So that's why there are gaps in the field. So if your ball is a little bit fuller, that's little push for the shots that Bellingham play was superb. What a player he is. I mean, 49 average in first class after 85 games, 6,000 runs. So I'm saying they'll have to bowl the right areas and keep the lead to as little as possible because this game will go down to the wire.
Ishan, final thoughts.
Yes, Gagi, to sum it all up, I think just keep it simple. Hit the deck, bowl the right lengths, and ask the batsmen to make their mistakes and get them below that 100 power lead. And if they do that, I think India's chances will be benefited. If they don't, it's going to be a interesting test match to watch.
Well, thank you everyone for